talked a little bit about the whole FBA thing, Foundational Black Americans, that Tariq Nasheed has kind of created this, new label, and Tasha K has, pretty much equated them to the KKK. We went into that a little bit, and I wanted to get some more clarification on how, like, the spiritual part of this, because we've talked about the ancestral part, the connection, but some of this spiritual stuff I feel like is a little more abstract, or at least it feels that way. So I just wanted to see if you could just clarify a little bit what the spiritual aspect of it is.
Well, we have to go directly into what the Western world calls ancestor worship. It's not ancestor worship, but it is an ancestral connection. It's an ancestral system. And although it's hidden in many ways, it's everywhere. So anytime you see the way monarchs maintain rule, it's through honoring an ancestor system. This is why they make statues. This is why they take on certain names. Like King Charles is, what number is he now?
The third.
He's King Charles the Third. You had the second, and this is his throne name. Although he kept his birth name, in a lot of cases you would move over to a throne name, which is to honor that ancestral system. It plugs you into the ancestral system. And this is why monarchs do that. And this is something, Europe got from Rome got from Greece got from Egypt. It all goes back to Africa. And this is the ancestral system comes out of the continent of Africa, not just Egypt. It was in the interior of Egypt many thousands of years before Egypt developed it to a pinnacle that then would branch out into the rest of the world. So, Egypt also comes from the interior of Africa. Yeah. You see this ancestral system also in Catholicism.
Yeah.
With the veneration of saints. When a person is, a priest or a father or whatever is made a saint, this is, and they're honored. They have a day. They're given a day. They're given a cause, the saint of et cetera, et cetera. This is an ancestral system.
Okay.
So they don't call it that, but that doesn't mean that's not what it is.
Is it the same with the Pope too? Because they take on a new name when they assume the papacy.
Exactly. So the papacy, that's an ancestral system. The saint system of Catholicism, it is an ancestral system. In fact, the veneration of Jesus for Christians, the way they honor Jesus, this is an ancestral system. Whether they see it that way or not, it doesn't matter. It is based on spiritual principles and spiritual laws. So the plebeian doesn't need to know what he's doing. He's just told what to do.
Right.
So you just honor Jesus, you honor this saint, you honor this, et cetera, et cetera. So he doesn't know the spiritual mathematics behind it. But Christianity is called Christianity because Christ is its ancestor. And it's based on the same principles as an African ancestor system. And so this is why they honor his birthday. This is why they honor his death, etc., because he's their ancestor. That's how it's set up. If you go to Mesoamerica, you have the Day of the Dead. This is an ancestor system. All Saints Day at the beginning of November for the Catholics, that's the culmination of that that grand clock on a yearly basis that opens up the portal for the ancestor system. The presidency of the United States, the fact that they have 4 men carved in the mountain, the fact that they put certain dead presidents on the money. This is also an ancestor system. All of these are ancestor systems. Ancestor systems is how you are plugged into the spiritual world, and how that flow of electromagnetic forces are then spread out into the participants of that ancestor system. Okay, the fact that you have a 555-foot obelisk in Washington, D.C., which is an Egyptian spiritual symbol. This is an ancestor system. This is an African ancestor system. This entire country is based on an African ancestor system. So now what is happening by changing this name, what you call yourself is important. This is why a monarch, whether it's European, Roman, Pope, all the way back to Africa, they would take on a throne name, because what you call yourself is very important. So to dispense with the label or the name of African Americans, this disconnects you from any type of ancestral system. This disconnects you from any kind of spiritual power by dropping that name. And what you're doing is, by deciding to call yourself foundational Black Americans, is basically you're just calling yourself slaves.
Right.
You're not. If you consider another spiritual principle, that there is no past or present, no past or future. There's only the present moment. And we can do a separate podcast and establish that in, metaphysics and occultic principles. But the only time that exists is the present moment. So when you take on a label as foundational Black Americans, you're calling yourself modern day slaves.
Right.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
This name, this label Black, was given in order to support the enterprise of chattel slavery. And so what you're doing is you're signing that contract in the present time.
Right.
In the present moment, you're re-signing that contract.
Yeah.
And saying we're in no way connected to the men and women that were brutalized and trafficked from Africa. These were not slaves; they were trafficked human beings.
Right.
Okay, it was not slaves. This was not a slavery system.
Yeah.
This was a trafficking system.
Yeah.
Slavery had existed, but it was based on debt. It was based on indentured servitude. It was based on war. The United States was not at war with Africa and with African countries. Africa owed them no debt.
Right.
This was human trafficking.
Yeah.
Okay. And so now you have, 40 to 60 million, African American descendants of that. Not every one here is a descendant of people that was on the bottom of those slave ships,
Yeah.
But for the people that were on the bottom of those slave ships and their descendants are now African Americans, you drop that label and you disavow them. You disavow the ones that died in the passage over, that were brave enough to jump off of that ship because they would never submit to a life of servitude.
Right.
They'd rather be torn apart by sharks. And so they jumped over those boats. You're saying to hell with them.
Yeah.
The countless rebellions that took place, that fought, that sacrificed, you're saying to hell with them.
Right.
They don't exist. There's no spiritual currency in their sacrifice. The men and women that jumped overboard, there's no spiritual currency in their sacrifice. This is what you're saying by taping on this name. Foundational Black Americans. And on a personal note, this is very irksome to me. This irks me more as much as Fred Hampton's murder. Yeah. Which to me was probably one of the most egregious. There should be a 25-foot statue of him in Chicago. There should be parks named after him. There should be an elementary school named after him. There should be a scholarship with his name on it. This is a 21-year-old Black man that was simply trying to unite people together.
And he was too successful at it.
He was too successful at it. And you could see, there were men in power that could see his trajectory in ways that he probably didn't see his trajectory, and they knew he had to go. Yeah. And so all those men, they were born and they fought for the fact that their ancestors had made those sacrifices and died. So you're cutting them off. You're cutting off Fred Hampton. You cutting off all Medgar Evers. You're cutting them off, whether you want to believe that or not, because they died for the cause of restoring honor and prestige and financial stability and full citizenship to the men and women that were called themselves African Americans. And so now, you're no longer, African Americans. You're foundational Black Americans. And this guy, Tariq Nasheed's not even, I don't think he's smart enough to come up with this on his own.
Right. What do you think it is that the people that are using this title are not understanding about that connection to the ancestors, the spiritual connection? Like, what do you think that it, like, because there has to be a disconnect for it to be able to just drop it.
They're being schmoozed. This guy's he's charismatic. They're being hoodwinked. Yeah. There's nothing there. They're not trying. When the person is being hoodwinked or bamboozled or something, it's not what they're not paying attention to. It's what they are paying attention to, and they're only paying attention to the charm. Right. And the charm is, if it's real charisma, then you don't have to focus on it. Okay. You can focus on anything that you think that would invalidate the charisma. And when you come back to the charisma, it's still there. You see what I mean? And so in this particular case, they're not paying attention to anything else other than his charisma. Right. That's it. And he's able to schmooze them into believing that this is what should take Black culture forward, is this title of foundational Black Americans. And the thing is, I think it's in volume 5 of the Zohar, which is part of the Judaic spiritual system, which they absconded these secrets, these spiritual laws from Egypt and Babylon. But I think it's in volume 5, they talk about the importance of honoring the dead. and maintaining that connection. And if you do not maintain that connection, it is to the detriment of your social structure, because those spirits will then turn on that community where they're not being honored. So to disconnect from the African American journey and to move over to an adjacent movement, this foundational black thing, you disconnecting from all those spirits that are meant to empower you, but they will actually now, based on spiritual law, they will turn on you. And so that's what he's doing. And so by doing that, the ones that do decide that this is what they should do, within a generation or so, they're going to notice their lives are plagued with struggle, even more so than what it has been. And now by disconnecting from that journey, by the time their grandchildren are adults, you know, no nation will be able to step in and help them because they're not African Americans. They are foundational black Americans. So this will no longer see what's been happening to African Americans in this country. It was never a civil rights issue. It was a human rights issue. But by agreeing that it was a civil rights issue, what that did was you stopped the UN and other nations from deciding that is enough. We don't care how big of a country you are. You've gone around the world and stuck your finger in everybody else's pie. Now, you're not allowed to treat the African American population the way you are. Many times throughout history, since African Americans have been on this soil, other nations have tried to intervene. You just don't hear much about it.
You don't hear anything about it.
Yeah, well, because when they do try to intervene, they're villainized. And since America, the American population is either very not jealous, but very gullible, part of them, and the other part of them is very vindictive. It's not that knowledge or that information is not disseminated through the population the way it should be,
Yeah.
But, Gaddafi, he tried to, help with the African American situation. Many leaders have. But in a generation or two, they won't. Nobody will be able to. There will not be any legal grounds for anybody to intervene, no matter. This country could decide to get rid of that entire population of foundational black Americans in much the same way that Saddam decided to get rid of his Kurds, and nobody could do anything about it because those people belong to him. These people, you are pretty much saying you belong to this government.
Right.
You see, you're disconnecting yourself from your spiritual ancestors.
What's wild to me is how much is centered on African Americans, like through human rights, and yet with other groups that are not Native, like the Japanese that were interned during World War II on American soil and were able to get reparations, like. And within 50 years, less than 50 years to get that. Yet we have African Americans all over the place that are due reparations, that are due all just rights, Jim Crow, like the civil rights, all this, that like it's such a concentration that it's astounding.
Yeah, it is.
And then this is like the FBA is like a sneaky backdoor. You know what I mean? To try and like continue all of that concentration of, repression.
I think the FBA movement is going to be more detrimental to the African American experience than mass incarceration, the war on drugs, redlining,
Really?
Jim Crow. Listen, whoever is behind this, every generation, they get smarter and smarter with how to do these things. Mm-hmm. Just like, just like you have mechanical technology, spirituality is also a technology. Mm-hmm. And so you have people that study it as a form of a technology. Mm-hmm. Most people don't see it that way. They don't understand that spirituality is a technology. But your spirituality is your operating system. Mm-hmm. If a person's operating system collapses or has a virus on a computer, it's shot. Mm-hmm. In much the same way, a person's mind. If their operating system is, Christianity or Islam or whatever, and it is infected with the virus, which would mean that there is something that is trying to collapse it, or that tells that person, for the most part, cognitive dissonance will protect it. There's a lot of buffers in there that protects that spiritual system. Mm-hmm. But if something breaks through, and like you've got so many morons on the internet and on social media attacking spirituality, attacking religion, mm-hmm. and you attack these, you got all these maniacs running around here without a religion, mm-hmm. without a sky daddy.
Yeah, they have no authority they have to answer to.
Yeah, what do you think they're gonna do if you manage to break through their religious operating system, and now they don't have a sky daddy?
Right, go to hell in a handbasket.
Really fast. Yeah. So you as a rule, it's you want to leave that system alone. Mm-hmm.
The people that are meant for it will follow through in it, and the people that are meant to rise above it will fall out of it.
Will fall out of it, you see. Mm-hmm. Or Source will tap them on the shoulder. Mm-hmm. That happens. Source will tap you on the shoulder and say, we've got something different for you to do. Mm-hmm. And some people live their whole life based inside of that belief system. But, the FBA movement, it's going to be far, far more detrimental than any of the previous tactics. Like I was saying, the war on drugs, mass incarceration, the FBA, it's far more subtle, mm-hmm. But it's far more powerful. The subtle forces are usually the most powerful forces when you're talking about, atomic sciences and, spirituality. Mm-hmm. The smaller things get, the more powerful they are.
Right.
And that's a rule to kind of remember when you're dealing with spiritual concepts and spiritual laws. Things that seem subtle, things that you think you can brush away, are probably have a very powerful atomic weight attached to it. And this is one of them, and usually not enough people pay attention to the right things.
Yeah, they see all the big things and not the little ticks that really count.
Yeah, it's how you sneak the little ones past there, because mm-hmm. they're focusing on the big, it's like even in the Christian religion, they have you had the big thing in your eye so you didn't see the small thing in your eye scripture.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was, but yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody can leave it in the comments.
There you go. So if you like the discussion that we're having or some of the other ones that we're having, hit like and subscribe. It really helps with the algorithm and keep having content push out for people.